The great space station Aurealis floated in silent beauty above a blue-white star. From the outside it looked calm and proud, like a jewel hanging in the dark. Inside, however, the station was full of noise, movement, and quiet judgment. This was the first time humans had been invited to a full interspecies cultural exchange. Many alien races had gathered from distant systems. Some were tall and thin, some short and wide. Some covered in scales, others in fur or smooth skin. They spoke many languages, but today they all shared one thing: curiosity mixed with doubt. At the center of the main observation hall stood a single human. Her name was Lena Ward. She was young by human standards, with dark hair tied back simply and plain clothing suited for station rules. She carried no visible weapon, no armor, and no advanced tools. Compared to the large alien forms around her, she looked small. Fragile, some would say. Lena stood straight, her hands relaxed at her sides. Her face was calm, but her eyes were alert. She slowly turned her head, observing the massive hall. The ceiling rose high above, made of clear alloy glass that showed the endless stars. Platforms and balconies surrounded the floor, filled with alien delegates watching her closely. Whispers spread through the crowd. Many of the aliens had already studied humans through data and recordings. They knew humans came from a world with strong gravity and dangerous wildlife, but knowledge from screens was different from seeing a human in person. Some delegates leaned toward each other and spoke quietly. A tall reptilian being with bronze scales tilted his head and clicked his tongue in amusement. To him, the human looked like a child that had wandered into the wrong place. A floating gas-based entity shimmered softly, projecting symbols of confusion. It did not understand why such a soft-looking species had survived space travel. On an upper platform, a fur-covered alien named Krelon folded his thick arms and laughed openly. His species valued physical strength above all else. "So this is a human," he said loudly in the shared language. "They sent only one."
"How brave," or "how foolish."
More laughter followed. Lena heard the sound. Even though she could not understand every tone or meaning behind it, she knew she was being mocked. She had been warned about this before leaving Earth. Humanity was new here. New meant weak in the eyes of many. She took a slow breath and remained silent. At the far end of the hall, a group of station officials gathered near a raised control platform. One of them, an insect-like being with glowing eyes, adjusted the translator field. "This exchange will proceed as planned," the official announced. "Each species has presented art, science, or philosophy. Humanity has requested to present a live demonstration." The hall grew quieter. A few aliens leaned forward with interest. Others looked confused. A demonstration usually involved machines or controlled simulations, not living beings. Krellin snorted again. What could a human demonstrate without tools? Lena lifted her gaze toward the control platform. She gave a small nod. The official continued. "The demonstration will take place in the central chamber. All safety protocols are active." At those words, the floor beneath Lena shifted slightly. A wide circular platform rose from below, made of thick, reinforced metal. Around it, energy barriers hummed softly as they powered up. The lights dimmed. A low sound echoed through the hall as a large containment unit was moved into place from below the floor. It was tall, dark, and sealed with heavy locks. Faint scratches could be seen along its surface. The aliens noticed. Whispers turned into murmurs. "What is inside?" someone asked. Lena did not move. Her expression remained calm, but her heart beat a little faster. She had trained for this moment, yet training never fully matched reality. The station official hesitated for a brief moment, then spoke again. "Contained within this unit is a Class 7 predator. Origin world classified as extreme death world. No sapient species has ever faced this creature without armor and survived." The hall erupted in sound. Some aliens recoiled in shock. Others laughed even louder. A few rose from their seats, alarmed. Braylon's laughter boomed. "This is madness. That thing kills trained hunters. What game is this?" Lena stepped forward. stopping just short of the containment unit. She placed one hand lightly against the cold metal surface. "This is not a game," she said quietly. Her voice carried through the translator field, calm and steady. "This is who we are." The insect-like official looked uneasy. "Human representative, confirm your intent. Once the containment field drops, we may not be able to intervene immediately."
Lena nodded once. "I understand."
A deep, heavy breathing sound echoed inside the chamber. Long shadows shifted as claws scraped against metal. The sound alone made several delegates step back. A tall avian alien named Soren folded his wings tightly against his sides. His species had sharp talons and strong beaks, yet even he felt fear at the presence of the unseen predator. "Humans are insane," he whispered. On a lower platform, a scientific observer named Threxel adjusted his data visor. His species valued knowledge and survival logic. This made no sense to him. Why would a species present its weakness? He wondered aloud. "This proves nothing but recklessness." Lena removed her hand from the containment unit and stepped onto the center of the platform. The energy barrier shimmered around her, separating her from the audience. She closed her eyes for a brief moment. She remembered Earth, wide skies, dangerous forests, animals that did not care about pride or words, only action. When she opened her eyes again, she was ready. The official raised one limb, releasing containment in 3 cycles. The hall fell into near silence. 2. The breathing inside the unit grew louder. A low growl vibrated through the metal. 1. With a sharp sound, the locks disengaged. The front of the containment unit slid open. For a heartbeat, nothing happened. Then the predator stepped out. It was massive, nearly twice Lena's height at the shoulder. Its body was covered in dark, thick hide, marked with old scars. 4 powerful limbs ended in curved claws that dug into the metal floor. Its head was wide, its jaws filled with uneven teeth made for tearing flesh. Its eyes locked onto Lena immediately. A wave of fear swept through the hall. Several aliens shouted. Others froze. Security units powered up their weapons, waiting for authorization that did not come. The predator roared. The sound was raw and violent, filled with hunger and dominance. The energy barrier flickered under the force of it. Lena did not scream. She did not run. She slowly lowered her stance, bending her knees slightly. Her hands were open, her posture balanced. Her eyes stayed on the creature. Not aggressive, not weak, just aware. Krillin stopped laughing. Threxel's data visor flashed warnings as his instrument struggled to measure the situation. "This is impossible," he whispered. "She should be dead already." The predator took a step forward, then another. Each movement shook the platform. Its nostrils flared as it smelled her. Lena felt the heat of its breath even through the barrier. She took one careful step forward. A sharp gasp came from the audience. The predator paused, its head tilted slightly, confused. It had faced prey that ran. It had faced enemies that attacked. It had never faced something that simply stood there, calm and focused. Lena spoke again, her voice low but steady. "Easy." The word meant nothing to the creature, but her tone did. She adjusted her breathing, slow and deep. She was not trying to dominate it. She was trying to understand it. Around them, the galaxy watched. Some aliens felt fear. Others felt disbelief. A few, for the first time, felt respect beginning to grow. The predator growled again and lowered its body, preparing to strike. The energy barrier flickered once more. Lena did not move. The hall held its breath. And then, the predator leapt. The moment shattered into chaos, screams, alarms, and motion. But Lena moved too.
Not in panic, in purpose.
And that was when the aliens realized they had made a terrible mistake by laughing. because the human was not afraid. And whatever came next would change how the galaxy saw humanity forever. The predator moved faster than anyone expected. Its claws scraped the metal platform as it lunged toward Lena. The air was filled with a sharp metallic screech, and the sounds of gasps and alarms echoed through the observation hall. Security drones powered up, their mechanical hum mixing with the terrified shouts of alien delegates, but Lena did not run. Her feet were firmly planted, her body balanced, and her eyes locked on the creature. The predator's jaws opened wide, aiming for Lena's shoulder. She sidestepped in a smooth, precise movement, feeling the rush of air as its teeth passed close enough to touch her hair. The audience gasped even louder. Some aliens pressed themselves against the walls, certain she would be killed in a second. Yet Lena remained calm, breathing steadily, her mind focused. She remembered the lessons from Earth, how humans survived against predators far stronger and faster, one step, one movement at a time. Read the body, predict the strike, move with purpose. She raised her hand slightly, not in defense but to balance herself and show the predator she was aware and ready. The predator growled, circling her like a hunter sizing up prey. Its claws dug deep marks into the metal floor. It lunged again, this time more carefully, expecting hesitation. Lena shifted her weight just in time, barely avoiding the strike. The sound of claws scraping metal filled the hall. Some of the delegates shouted in fear, while others watched in stunned silence. A scientist from the alien delegation, a six-limbed being named Vacor, adjusted his visor to zoom in on Lena's movements. "She cannot survive this. Her size, her lack of armor, it is impossible," he said, his voice trembling with disbelief. Lena did not hear him. She focused on the predator, feeling the tension in its muscles, noticing the slight hesitation in its eyes. It was powerful, fast, and dangerous, but it was not used to prey that did not fear it. That hesitation was her chance. She waited for the predator to lunge again. As it sprang, she sidestepped and ducked simultaneously, her hands finding the creature's neck. She pressed against a sensitive area just below its jaw, applying force carefully to stun, not to injure. The predator slammed against the floor with a heavy thud, surprised by her strength and speed. The audience erupted in shocked gasps. Some aliens muttered to each other, unable to comprehend what they had just witnessed. The predator rose again, slower now. Its growl was lower, almost cautious. Lena did not release her focus. She took a step back, measuring the distance, allowing the predator to regain its stance. The room was tense. Every eye in the hall was on her, waiting, expecting failure. Some delegates had their hands over their faces. Others leaned forward, unable to look away. Lena extended her hand slightly, moving slowly to show she meant no harm. The predator's eyes tracked her movements. It growled again, but less violently this time. The energy barrier around the platform flickered, threatening to cut in, but the station controls remained on her side. She knew she had only moments to understand the creature before it decided she was prey or threat. She remembered another lesson. Fear can make predators attack recklessly, but calm confidence can make them hesitate. She spoke softly, words meaningless to the predator, but tone mattered. Easy, calm, steady. Her voice and posture were controlled. She watched its breathing, its subtle shifts in weight, the way its claws scraped and dug into the platform. Timing, she reminded herself. A small sound came from the predator. A hiss, almost like a question. It was testing, trying to understand this human that moved with such certainty. Lena took another step forward, hands open, showing trust yet readiness. She could feel every second stretching, the pressure of expectation from thousands of eyes across the hall. Another lunge. Lena moved, stepping just enough to avoid the teeth. Her hand found the sensitive point under the jaw again, pressing firmly to control the head without harming it. The predator staggered slightly, confused by this human's daring and composure. It blinked slowly, a sign of uncertainty in its own way. Aliens whispered to each other. Krellin's fur bristled. He muttered, "No species should do this. She is impossible." Lena felt the energy in the room shift. The fear in the eyes of the aliens was growing, and a new emotion emerged. Respect, quiet and cautious. The predator's growls softened slightly. It studied her, not as prey, not yet as enemy, but as something unfamiliar. She had to keep moving. One wrong step, one sign of fear, and everything would fall apart. She stepped back again, letting the predator make the first move. It lunged and paused, confused by her reaction. Each pause, each hesitation, was a chance to control the situation. Then Lena did something bold. She spoke in a firmer voice, stronger, projecting calm dominance. She moved her hand slowly, showing she was aware, showing she could react but would not flee. The predator's stance shifted. It hesitated again, sniffing, growling, trying to make sense of her. She noticed a small advantage. The predator's left front claw was slightly off balance. She stepped lightly, fast but careful, and pressed against a sensitive joint in its leg. The predator stumbled, but did not fall. The audience leaned forward, some aliens murmuring in disbelief, others shaking their heads in shock. Lena could hear the hum of energy barriers, the faint clicks of emergency systems, but she ignored them. Her mind was clear. She had to survive, but also she had to show what humans were capable of. Not weapons, not armor, not brute force alone, but intelligence, timing, courage, and control. The predator lunged again, slower, more calculated. Lena moved in sync, reading its body, predicting its attacks. Each step, each reaction showed skill, control, and awareness. Slowly, the predator began to understand that this human was different. No fear, no hesitation, just careful precision. That recognition created a strange pause. Delegates who had mocked humans before now whispered in awe. Some had even stood, moving closer to see how she would react. Krellin folded his arms, quiet now, furless patches bristling with tension. Even Vacor, the scientist, could not look away. He adjusted his visor repeatedly, trying to measure the impossible. The predator tested her again, approaching slowly, its body low, eyes fixed. Lena's hand moved lightly across its head, careful not to provoke, careful to show control. She felt the creature relax slightly under her touch, a sign that it accepted her presence as something it could not immediately overpower. A voice came over the station intercom, calm but tense. Human representative, containment breach protocol will activate in 30 seconds if control is not regained. Lena ignored it, focusing fully on the predator. She understood the risk. If she failed, she would trigger alarms, barriers, maybe even weapons. But retreat now was impossible. She could only move forward. Another calculated lunge from the predator brought it closer to her hands. She adjusted her position, pressing against its neck again, forcing it down just slightly, enough to demonstrate control but not harm. Its growl was lower, softer, confused. The creature was learning to read it. She was learning to read it. The audience watched in awe. Fear, laughter, and disbelief had vanished. In their place, a silent understanding began to form. Humans were not weak.
They were not helpless. This small figure, standing firm, controlling a predator far stronger, spoke of a species that survived by more than brute strength.
Lena took a deep breath and stepped back, releasing pressure carefully. The predator did not attack. It lowered its head, growling softly, almost in submission. The tension in the hall was thick, but something had shifted. Respect had begun to replace ridicule. She spoke again, softly, firmly.
Easy! The word carried calm authority. The predator blinked, its body relaxing more.
She had not defeated it by force, but by presence, understanding, and courage. The observation hall remained silent, except for the soft hum of energy barriers and the quiet scratching of claws on metal. Lena stood her ground, breathing evenly, eyes still locked on the creature. She had survived the first attack. More challenges might come, but the first impression had been made. Humans were not fragile. Humans were not afraid. The predator stepped back, circling her slowly, still cautious but no longer hostile. Lena remained steady, not advancing, not retreating. She allowed it space, understanding its mind better with each movement. Her calm presence had tamed for the moment a deadly creature. Across the hall, the alien delegates murmured among themselves. Krellon's eyes were wide, disbelief still etched on his face. Vakor's visor blinked endlessly, trying to measure her reflexes and decisions. Soren, the avian, tilted his head, feathers ruffled in amazement. The entire audience had shifted from mockery to stunned attention. Lena breathed deeply, sensing the tension around her. She knew the predator could strike at any moment if provoked. Yet it seemed to hesitate now, studying her, learning her, respecting her in its own way. The calmness she had carried from the start had not been easy. Her body ached with tension, but her mind remained sharp. The first round was over. She had faced the predator without fear, without hesitation. The aliens had seen what humans were capable of, and the message was clear. Humans survive through courage, understanding, and skill, not through size or brute power alone. She stood still for a moment longer, letting the crowd process what had happened. Some whispered quietly to each other, while others remained frozen, unable to speak. Lena finally exhaled slowly and nodded, not to the predator, but to the room itself, acknowledging the unspoken respect she had earned. The predator shifted one last time, then turned and walked slowly back toward the containment area. Lena stayed where she was until the barrier reactivated and sealed it safely. The energy hum of the platform returned to normal, and the audience began to settle. Still staring at the human who had tamed fear itself, security drones returned to standby mode, and the station official exhaled audibly, looking relieved and awed. Lena's focus did not waver. She had shown the galaxy that a human could stand against fear and survive. And in that quiet, powerful moment, the first step toward a new reputation for humanity had been made. The observation hall had settled into an uneasy quiet. Lena Ward remained on the platform, her breathing steady, her body alert, and her eyes following the movements of the predator inside the sealed containment unit. The alien delegates whispered among themselves, some still unsure whether the human had survived by luck or skill. Lena, however, knew it was neither. Every movement, every choice had been precise, and she would have to maintain that focus if the next phase of this demonstration came. A voice echoed over the station intercom, calm yet firm. Human representative, additional challenges prepared. Sensors indicate that the predator's stress levels are rising. Proceed with caution. Lena did not flinch. She knew the predator was aware of her presence. Animals, even dangerous ones, could sense intent. Calmness and control were as important as movement. The containment unit slid open again, this time exposing a larger space. The predator stepped forward, its dark eyes fixed on her. Lena moved slightly to the side, giving it room to explore, showing that she did not fear it. The creature circled slowly, muscles coiled like springs, claws digging faint grooves into the metal floor. A small group of aliens watched from the upper platforms, among them a scientist named Vakor. He muttered under his breath, adjusting his visor over and over. Her reflexes are unmeasurable. How can a human read a predator's intent so accurately? Lena knew she had to communicate without weapons. She extended her hand slightly, moving slowly, showing control and confidence. The predator paused, then lunged forward. But Lena was ready. She sidestepped, feeling the whoosh of air as its jaws missed her shoulder by mere inches. The audience gasped, some staggering backward from the intensity. She pressed against the creature's side, sensing the pressure points she had learned about. It stumbled slightly, growling low in frustration. The audience's disbelief grew. Some aliens, including Krellon, the furred delegate, muttered that no species could do this without enhanced speed or armor. Lena had neither. She relied solely on her instincts, timing, and calm focus. The predator circled again, slower this time, as if reassessing. Lena shifted slightly, keeping her stance grounded. Each step, each subtle movement spoke to the predator that she was aware but unafraid. It growled softly, testing her reaction. She did not flinch. Her calmness seemed to confuse the predator more than any strike could have. Suddenly the creature lunged with incredible speed. Lena barely moved in time, feeling the brush of its claws against her arm. She pressed downward against the joint in its front limb, using her weight to control its movement. The predator hit the floor, startled by her unexpected force. A hush fell over the hall. Aliens whispered nervously, their earlier mocking laughter gone. She could feel the predator's confusion. It had never encountered prey that did not run or attack, but instead moved with understanding. Lena moved with the predator, guiding its momentum, not stopping it entirely, but controlling it enough to prevent harm. The audience's tension rose. They watched, spellbound, as a human, small and unarmed, managed a creature that could have killed anyone else instantly. A soft vibration ran through the platform as the predator tested her again. Lena adjusted her position, hands light on its shoulders. She could feel its strength, the raw energy in its body, yet it hesitated. Timing, balance, and calmness were her weapons. The predator lunged again, slower this time, and she stepped aside, pressing against another pressure point. It staggered but did not fall. Its growl deepened, curious and frustrated. Baker adjusted his visor one more time, voice barely audible. She is reading it, predicting it.
Impossible!
She spoke softly, calmly, projecting confidence. The predator stopped, staring at her. Her eyes never left its, steady and unwavering. The predator's body tensed, then relaxed slightly. It began to understand something unfamiliar. This human was not prey, not immediately at least. The calmness in her stance, the precision of her movements, commanded recognition. Another lunge followed. Lena moved, using the momentum to guide the predator's head down, showing control without dominance. The audience gasped again. Every alien, no matter how skeptical, was watching intently. Fear had shifted in the room. Humans were no longer mocked. They were measured, and in some cases, admired. Lena allowed herself a slight adjustment, stepping back to let the predator regain its stance. It circled her slowly, low and cautious, growling softly. Each movement of hers was deliberate, communicating understanding and presence. Her calmness kept the predator uncertain, not attacking, not retreating. The energy barriers hummed quietly. Security drones hovered nearby, ready to intervene if needed. But for now, they were unnecessary. Lena had controlled the situation with nothing but awareness and timing. The predator tested her once more, lunging slowly. She sidestepped perfectly, pressing lightly against a joint, and the creature stumbled, confused and uncertain. Respect, in its way, began to form. Kraylon folded his arms, no words escaping him. Other delegates whispered, debating what they had seen. The human was small, unarmed, and yet she had mastered a predator far stronger and faster. Vekor adjusted his visor again, a mixture of fascination and disbelief on his face. Lena knew she could not falter. Each second was critical. The predator's attention was on her, and she needed to maintain calm dominance, neither aggressive nor fearful. Another small movement, a careful placement of hands, kept the predator in check. It growled softly, circled, and tested her once more, slowly and deliberately. Lena moved with it, predicting and controlling its momentum, maintaining balance and calm. She spoke again calmly, projecting authority. The predator blinked slowly, lowering its stance. Her breathing remained steady, unhurried, showing no fear. The audience watched in silence. Joanna's aliens exchanged looks, acknowledging that humans possessed qualities no machine or weapon could replicate. The predator paused completely, studying Lena. Its body, tense moments ago, relaxed slightly. It had learned to hesitate before acting. Lena had not harmed it, yet she had forced it to recognize her strength and awareness. The silence in the hall was thick, heavy with tension and awe. Lena took a measured step back, hands slightly raised, not threatening, not retreating. The predator followed her movement with its eyes, curious, still cautious. The demonstration was far from over, but the first stage had been accomplished. She had survived direct confrontation without fear or injury, showing the aliens the human ability to adapt, react, and control dangerous situations with intelligence and courage. Across the hall, the delegates whispered among themselves. Mockery had turned to astonishment, disbelief to respect. Krellin's fur rippled as he muttered, "No species should do this. Humans are."
Different. Vaker's visor blinked continuously, trying to measure her reactions.
Even Soren, the avian, tilted his head, eyes wide with amazement. Humans, in their simplicity, had shown a capability the galaxy had underestimated. Lena stayed steady, breathing evenly, eyes locked on the Predator. She had survived the first round of testing. She understood the Predator's patterns, its instincts, and its reactions. The calm and control she displayed had changed the room's energy. Fear and doubt had shifted, leaving a silent understanding that this human was capable of far more than anyone had expected. The Predator circled once more, then stopped, lowering its head slightly. It growled softly, a sound that now carried less threat and more recognition. Lena remained still, letting the creature acknowledge her presence. She had not needed weapons, armor, or technology. Her awareness, timing, and courage had achieved control where others would have failed. A hush settled over the hall as Lena exhaled slowly, her focus unwavering. The Predator had been temporarily tamed, not by dominance, but by understanding, precision, and courage. The audience had witnessed a human stand against a lethal predator without fear, demonstrating qualities that machines, armor, and brute strength could not replace. The Predator finally stepped back, circling to the side, watching her closely. Lena remained still, breathing calmly, unshaken by its presence. The alien delegates could only stare, some whispering among themselves, others frozen in awe. Humanity had shown itself in a new light. Small, unarmed, but fearless and intelligent. For Lena, the moment was not one of triumph, but of preparation. She knew more challenges awaited, more tests to come, but she had proven one undeniable truth. Humans survive not through size or weapons alone, but through courage, awareness, and understanding. The galaxy would begin to see that today, in this hall, as the Predator's dark eyes continued to study her with cautious respect. The Predator remained in the containment area, its dark eyes still tracking Lena. She stood calm, steady, and alert, aware that the situation was far from over. The audience of alien delegates had begun to murmur among themselves, the initial shock and disbelief slowly transforming into cautious respect. Yet Lena sensed that the real challenge was not over. Something in the station's atmosphere had shifted. Alarms suddenly blared, cutting through the quiet murmurs. Red lights flashed across the hall. The station intercom, usually calm and mechanical, now carried a tense urgency. Attention. Unauthorized release detected. Security Protocol Alpha is active. All delegates remain in safe zones. The voice repeated, urgent and insistent. Chaos erupted. The Predator had never been meant to be fully released. The station had planned a controlled demonstration, but a malfunction or deliberate interference had occurred. Panic rippled through the upper platforms as alien delegates scrambled to follow safety procedures. Security drones activated fully, hovering in a tense pattern, weapons ready. Lena did not panic. She observed the Predator, noting that its behavior had changed. Confused, its tail whipped back and forth, muscles coiled, ready to strike if provoked. The danger was now real, and her calm focus was the only thing that could manage it. She knew that every second could mean life or death for herself and everyone in the hall. A human security officer, Marcus Hale, appeared from the side of the platform. He was small, quick, and trained in multiple survival protocols. He signaled to Lena, confirming that the breach was not part of the planned demonstration. Lena nodded once, acknowledging the new threat. She understood immediately. They were dealing with sabotage or a catastrophic malfunction, and she had to act fast. The Predator shifted, sensing the tension. It growled, low, pacing, claws scraping metal. Delegates screamed, pressing against the wall, some frozen in fear. Lena took a careful step forward, hands raised slightly to indicate calmness. The predator's eyes flicked to her, uncertainty in its movements. She had to guide it without escalating aggression. Lena moved slowly toward the creature, reading its body language. Its head tilted, muscles tensed, ready to strike. She pressed lightly against the joint beneath its jaw, using the minimal force needed to redirect its momentum. The predator stumbled slightly, growled, and backed away. It was aware now that the human was not afraid, and it could not simply attack without consequence. The hall was filled with noise, chaos, and fear. Aliens shouted instructions to each other. Some panicked, some tried to maintain order. Drones hovered, ready to fire if necessary. Yet Lena moved deliberately, guiding the predator, keeping it from lashing out. Every step was calculated, every movement precise. Marcus moved closer to help evacuate delegates from the lower platforms. Lena's eyes remained on the predator. She could sense its confusion and growing respect. It had never encountered a prey that was also a guide, one that could control and redirect its energy without fear or aggression. The predator lunged suddenly toward a group of panicked delegates. Lena stepped in swiftly, pressing against its shoulders and guiding its body away. It stopped, growling, hesitant. The aliens stared in awe. They realized that the human had not only survived the initial challenge but now controlled a real threat with no weapons, no armor, just skill and focus. Security drones hovered near, ready to intervene if necessary. Lena signaled subtly to Marcus, who moved to block a path where the predator might break through. Together they created a dynamic barrier, human awareness complementing mechanical precision. The predator seemed to understand that it could not act recklessly, that these humans were different. It circled, observing, cautious now, learning. One of the delegates, a reptilian species, muttered nervously to its neighbor, "No other species would do this. Humans are." It paused, searching for the word, then shook its head in disbelief. Vacor, the scientist, could not hide his amazement, adjusting his visor over and over. Her reflexes, her awareness, this is unprecedented. Lena continued to guide the predator, moving calmly among the panicked aliens, ensuring that it did not attack. The creature tested her once more, a calculated lunge. Lena sidestepped, applying pressure lightly to control its head direction, allowing it to follow her guidance without harm. Every delegate watched silently, caught between fear and fascination. The predator slowed, growling softly, muscles coiled but no longer striking. Lena's calmness had shifted the situation. She had turned a deadly threat into a manageable risk, controlling it with precision and courage. The delegates began to recognize that humans were not fragile, not helpless. Their respect grew quietly, even as chaos still swirled around the platform. Suddenly, an automated system engaged. Blast doors began to close, sealing off parts of the hall. Delegates screamed, some caught between doors. Lena acted swiftly, guiding the predator away from the closing mechanisms and toward a safe area. Her movements were fluid, precise, and purposeful. The predator followed, wary but compliant under her direction. Marcus assisted delegates, leading them to safety. Lena stayed ahead, predicting the predator's movements, redirecting its energy, keeping it calm. The audience, now safe on upper platforms, watched in stunned silence. Every movement, every decision by Lena demonstrated intelligence, bravery, and awareness. Humans were not weak. They survived by understanding danger, not avoiding it. The predator's breathing slowed slightly as it adjusted to Lena's control. Its growls softened, its body less tense. Lena's calm dominance had convinced it that reckless attacks were not allowed. The delegates realized they were witnessing a human's ability to manage a lethal creature through knowledge and presence, not weapons or size. Lena moved carefully, guiding the predator toward a secure chamber. Every step, every subtle gesture communicated control. The alien's disbelief grew into admiration. Even Krellon, the furred delegate, could not hide his respect, muttering, "No species should be able to do this." Humans. His voice trailed off, unable to express the full truth.
The predator finally entered the secure chamber, still watching Lena carefully.
She released the pressure gradually, allowing it to settle. Its body relaxed, acknowledging her skill and courage. The hall remained tense, but the immediate danger had passed. Lena exhaled slowly, her focus never wavering, until she was certain the predator was contained safely. The delegates stared at her, realizing that humans could face lethal threats without fear and still control the situation. Their perception of humanity had changed forever. The intercom crackled. Containment secured. All systems stable. Relief swept across the platforms, but the awe remained. Humans were no longer mocked. They were respected, perhaps feared. Lena had demonstrated that courage, awareness, and intelligence could rival strength and power. The galaxy had seen that humans were capable of facing danger on their own terms. Lena lowered her hand slowly, still alert, still ready. The predator remained contained, breathing heavily but calm. The delegates were silent, some nodding quietly, some staring in awe. The message was clear. Humans survived not through size or weapons, but through courage, calm, and skill. Lena's actions had shown the galaxy that day what humans were truly capable of. And in that moment, respect for humanity grew quietly, powerfully, in the hearts of those who had once mocked them. The hall had quieted after the chaos, but Lena Ward remained alert. The predator was safely contained, but the energy in the room was different now. The alien delegates had stopped whispering, stopped laughing. Their attention was fixed entirely on her. Fear had transformed into respect, admiration, and even awe. The galaxy had watched a human survive, control, and guide a deadly creature without weapons, without armor, without fear. Lena stepped down from the platform slowly, keeping her posture calm and deliberate. Every eye followed her, measuring her, trying to understand what they had witnessed. The predator watched from its enclosure, dark eyes tracking every step, muscles coiled but now calm. Lena knew that this was the moment to send a message beyond the walls of Borealis. Humans were not to be underestimated. A tall blue-skinned diplomat named Ishran moved forward, his limbs folded respectfully. His species valued strength and discipline above all else. He spoke through the translator system, voice carrying clearly across the hall. "Human representative, you have proven what few expected. You have faced a creature that could have destroyed anyone and stood without fear. You have acted with skill, calm, and intelligence. For this, humanity deserves acknowledgement and respect." Lena nodded slightly, but her attention never left the predator. Her calm stance conveyed assurance, not arrogance. She understood that the recognition was important, but the real lesson was more subtle. Survival came not from weapons or strength, but from understanding, adaptation, and courage. The delegates remained silent for a moment, digesting the demonstration and Lena's actions. Kraylon, the furred delegate who had laughed at her earlier, muttered under his breath, eyes wide. No other species could do this. Humans. His voice trailed off, unable to articulate the full realization. Vacor, the scientist, adjusted his visor repeatedly, analyzing data that still did not make sense. She did not fight with force, nor did she flee. Every move was calculated, precise. Her awareness, timing, and courage changed the outcome entirely. He spoke softly, almost to himself, as if repeating the truth might make it believable. Lena stepped closer to the edge of the platform, gesturing lightly with her hands to show calm control. The predator shifted slightly, lowering its head, still cautious, still observing. It had tested her, measured her, and now acknowledged her presence. Lena understood that the creature respected her courage. This respect was not given lightly. It was earned through precision, awareness, and fearlessness. Security drones hovered nearby, still active, ready to intervene if needed. Marcus Hale, the human officer, moved among the delegates, ensuring safety and order. He glanced at Lena, signaling approval. She had not only survived but demonstrated the core of what it meant to be human: courage, intelligence, and the ability to remain calm under extreme pressure. The hall remained tense but focused. The delegates whispered, some nodding, others simply staring. Soren, the avian observer, tilted his head, eyes wide, wings slightly lifted in awe. Even the younger delegates who had mocked her earlier were silent, captivated by the display. Lena exhaled slowly, feeling the weight of the hall's attention, but remaining composed. She did not speak unnecessarily. Her actions had conveyed more than words ever could. The predator remained behind the reinforced glass, breathing steadily, no longer aggressive. Her calm had tamed fear itself. An elder diplomat, a tall, armored species with a heavy exoskeleton, stepped forward.
Humans, he said slowly, his voice deep and deliberate, your courage is rare. Your ability to confront danger without fear is extraordinary.
This day, you have changed the perception of your species in this hall and across systems. You are not weak. You are formidable in ways we did not understand. The hall was silent once more, the weight of those words settling over everyone present. Lena simply nodded. She understood the recognition, but she also knew that real strength was quiet, steady, and careful. It was earned through courage, awareness, and the will to act even when fear was present. The predator, sensing that it was no longer threatened but controlled, lowered its stance completely. It moved slightly closer to the rear of its enclosure, acknowledging Lena without aggression. The audience watched, silent, understanding that this small human had not only survived but gained the respect of a lethal creature. That respect carried a lesson. Humans could survive by understanding, by courage, by focus. Lena turned to look at the delegates again, her eyes steady. She wanted them to understand a truth that could not be ignored. Humans were small, unarmed, and vulnerable by appearance. But courage, intelligence, and presence made them far stronger than many believed. That lesson had been delivered, and it had been received. Across the hall, murmurs of admiration grew louder. Delegates shared looks of disbelief and new understanding. Krellin's arms were still folded, but his fur had smoothed, a sign of respect in his species. Vakor's visor blinked repeatedly, measuring reactions that could not be fully quantified. Ishra nodded once, approvingly, acknowledging that humanity's place in the galaxy had just shifted. Lena stepped down from the platform completely, hands relaxed but ready. She moved slowly among the delegates, ensuring calm and order, guiding those still nervous away from the predator's enclosure. Her actions were deliberate, showing that humans were capable of leadership, courage, and calm under pressure. The delegates followed, some hesitantly, some in awe, but all attentive. The predator remained calm, its breathing even, no longer threatening. Lena's control and presence had taught it a new lesson. Fear had been replaced by respect. Her calmness, courage, and skill had changed the energy in the room, shifting the balance. The audience understood that humans were not to be underestimated. Finally, Lena took a step back, observing the hall one last time. She had faced fear, danger, and chaos, and emerged unshaken. The delegates had witnessed the impossible. Humanity had shown the galaxy that courage, intelligence, and calm awareness could rival brute strength and lethal force.
The intercom crackled. All systems stable.
Predator contained. Safety confirmed. Relief swept across the platforms, but the respect and admiration lingered. The aliens understood that humans were not only survivors, but capable of mastering challenges that would overwhelm other species. Lena exhaled, her focus easing slightly. She had completed the demonstration, shown the galaxy the essence of humanity. Courage without arrogance, skill without weapons, calm without fear. The predator rested, acknowledging her silently. The delegates watched, understanding that this human had changed the perception of her species forever. As Lena left the platform, the hall remained silent for a moment. Then a ripple of quiet applause and respectful gestures spread. Humans were no longer seen as weak or fragile. They were recognized for their courage, intelligence, and ability to face the impossible. Lena Ward had shown the galaxy that humans survived not by size, strength, or weapons, but by courage, awareness, and fearlessness. In that moment, the galaxy understood. Do not mock the humans. They are small, but fearless. They are quiet, but capable of unimaginable skill. And they are survivors, not because they always win, but because they never fear to stand and face danger with calm and courage.